Jackie Doyle-Price.
Mr Deputy Speaker, and it is a great privilege to follow the Honourable Lady for Camberwell and Peckham, who has blazed a trail on so many of these issues in the time that she's been a member of this House. But it's also a reminder that despite the fact that she has been such a powerful advocate for women, we still have so many outstanding injustices to tackle. This bill tackling one of the most outstanding ones. And, you know, it seems staggering that in the 21st century, we are still having to legislate for fair treatment and equality for women. And we should not demur from grappling with these challenges as soon as they materialise. And all of us here who are women, members of Parliament, we continue to encounter discrimination, whether it's on our own part or whether we're fighting for constituents. And it's true to say that those challenges are reflected in the fact that we have a Secretary of State for Women and Equalities and indeed a Women and Equalities Select Committee. And of course we do need to tackle the fact that not all the unfairnesses and injustices can be tackled by legislation. Most of them today are behavioural and practical in their nature. But clearly, by having this debate this afternoon and shining a light on this and taking action ourselves, we can give the best possible leadership to all employers in the country and to all women in the country that we are on their side. So I do very much welcome this bill as an advance in women's rights. But I felt moved to table amendments today because of representations I'd had from women about the fact of the language in the bill. Now, I fully understand the challenges the government faced in bringing forward this legislation. Clearly, having to amend existing legislation made that job more difficult, and the use of language was not especially easy. Nonetheless, I felt it important that we do reflect that, because the very fact that we're having this debate today, it explains why women are anxious about protecting their own rights and why they become very sensitive about language used. And we've seen more and more that our sex is being dehumanised by non-gender specific terms. And for a lot of women, they don't mind. Particularly younger women who haven't perhaps gone through the fights that some of us who are a bit older have. It doesn't really matter to them. But for a lot of women, it genuinely does cause distress. And I think it's very important that we in this place at least reflect that and challenge ourselves with it and make sure that we do use perhaps the most sensitive language that we possibly can in tackling these issues. Now obviously we will come to discuss my amendments in due course at the committee stage, but I must put on record that I find it very difficult to be challenging my right honourable friend on this, because there has been no greater champion of equality than her. And I was very reassured by her opening comments that, whatever the language in this bill, this does not reflect any more long-term view. But I just want to put on record, really, that the government really need to be sensitive about these issues, because in making a big leap forward in advancing rights, we don't then want to alienate anyone with discomfort about the language used. Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker.
The question is that Amendment 3 be made. Jackie Doyle-Price.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I shan't detain the committee unduly, given that I've already addressed many of the points earlier in second reading. But I would just like to highlight the previous remarks of the Honourable Member for Gower, who illustrated beautifully that all our maternity rights legislation does in fact refer to women or she and reflects the female sex, which again makes this something of a vagary. But I thank my right honourable friend the Minister for her references to my amendments, and I thank her for engaging constructively in trying to work through to a solution, notwithstanding the constraints of the legislation with which she's working. And my amendments are designed to replace the word person, which is what is causing so much anxiety to women outside this place, with one that reflects the position in employment law, and in this case, minister, and that will be consistent with the rest of the bill, because in terms of the opposition positions, the bill refers to office holder. And I'm really grateful for my right honourable to seeing if this would actually be a solution. It isn't ideal. I would much prefer to see woman placed on the face of this bill, but needs must, and we really must pass this legislation in order that we can send the Honourable Lady, the Member for Fareham, on her way to Godspeed to enjoy her pregnancy and her childbirth. If this is not going to be a suitable way of dealing with this issue, then obviously I won't press I'm not minded to press this amendment to a division. It was done in the spirit of constructiveness to try and take the heat out of something which is causing distress to women. But I would just place on record, I think we must make sure that this is not something which is repeated in future legislation regarding maternity rights. And if there is an opportunity to vote on replacing the word person with woman, I'd be in full support of it. But I will say no more than that at this stage. Thank you, Madam Chairman.